I remember watching the movie Gattaca. I was thinking it just happened a few years ago, but I think it came out before y'all were born. But Gattaca, back in the 1990s, the days came out. But I remember thinking how awful it would be to have one's whole life mapped out and known in advance simply by analyzing one's DNA. But I remember thinking, well, at least that technology doesn't exist for the state to abuse. But it's no longer true. In your lifetime, much of your potential, or maybe lack thereof, will be known simply by swabbing the inside of your cheek. Imagine, though, a world in which disease and disability are eliminated. No meningitis, no Down syndrome, no cleft palate, no cerebral palsy. Man is able to select against all of these. Each individual's biological future can be predicted by looking at their DNA. Who could argue against such a world? But hopefully someone will stand and say, wait a minute, not so fast. Didn't we try that? Didn't we learn what can happen when you let the state select for perfection? In the movie Gattaca, in the not too distant future, eugenics is common, and DNA plays the primary role in determining your social class. Vincent Freeman is conceived, though, and born the old-fashioned way, without the aid of genetic selection. He turns out very nearsighted. He has a heart defect. His projected lifespan is only 30.2 years. Due to the frequent screenings, Vincent faces genetic discrimination and prejudice. The only way he can achieve his dream of being an astronaut is he has to become what's called a borrowed ladder. He has to steal or impersonate the DNA from a valid person, someone who has acceptable DNA. He assumes the identity of a Jerome Mora, world-class swimming star whose genetic profile is said to be secondary to none. But he's been paralyzed in a car accident. So Jerome buys his identity, uses his DNA, his blood, his hair, his tissue, his urine to pass the screenings that happen on a daily basis. To impersonate him, he must put Jerome's blood underneath his fingertips because they're checked daily. He must wear contact lenses with Jerome's iris map on them. Jerome's genetic profile lets him get into the Space Academy. There's no interview. Imagine a world when you graduate from college, there's no interview. They take a swab of your cheek. The whole process is done by DNA. Those who get in the space program must have the proper DNA. He's selected. He eventually goes on this manned space flight. After 2 years of training and daily evading the DNA police, the launch finally comes. But he shows up and he doesn't bring any tissue. He thinks there won't be any more testing. But he stopped one final time for a urine test. He hasn't brought anything with him. How's he going to get through? The urinalysis uncovers he's not who he says he is. But the doctor smiles at him. And he asks him, did I ever tell you about my son? He was born the old-fashioned way. He has imperfect DNA. He wants to be like you, an astronaut. Without another word, the doctor changes the result and lets Vincent go on and get on the flight. And when you hear this dystopia, it's easy to say and to oppose eugenics and to say how awful. We would never let that happen in our country. But will we have the strength of character to resist a world where eugenics is practiced voluntarily? Will we be sorry when we eliminate the disabled? Will we be sorry when we eliminate those who have premature deafness, such as Beethoven? Will we be sorry when we eliminate those with cerebral palsy, such as Christy Brown? Christy Brown's story is fascinating. He was born with profound cerebral palsy. He only had control of his left foot. It was uncertain whether he had any mental capacity because he didn't speak. The doctors advised his parents to institutionalize him. His family was a big, loving family in Dublin, and they kept him at home. His brothers and sisters carted him around the street in a wheelbarrow to their games. And finally, at the age of 5, he picked up some chalk with his left foot and wrote the letter A on the floor. He went on to become an author and a poet. Are we prepared to select out the imperfect among us? What will be the limits? Will we stop with disability? Will we go on to select hair color, eye color, IQ, height? I hope we don't do height. I'm out of here. Weight. In the process, will we perhaps eliminate something, some part of our humanness, some part of our specialness and we seek perfection? Will we be flying too close to the sun? Will our search for perfection become an Icarus moment? Science offers us an amazing future. In the past 100 years, we've gone from nearly 50% mortality in childhood to less than 1%. The average life expectancy at the turn of the last century was 43. I'm not against science. I'm a physician. I'm for it. But my hope, though, is that we don't lose our appreciation of the miracle that springs forth from tiny strands of DNA. Einstein said there are two ways to look at life, to look at the world. We can either look at life as if there are no miracles, or we could look at life and see miracles everywhere. I choose the latter.